Hey everyone. In this video, I want to talk about SolarWinds Service Desk, formerly known as Samanage, and compare it to the experience we know from using Cherwell Service Management. Um, in case you haven't been watching the channel lately, this is actually part of a series. This video is the, I don't know, seventh, eighth, ninth video in a series all about ITSM platforms. And specifically, we're not talking about which one is the best, which one is the worst, which one uh, is better than any other one, anything like that. We're talking specifically about how each platform will feel coming from Cherwell. So, given specific uh, aspects that were really well liked and widely used in Cherwell, how do these platforms compare? And specifically, we're talking about the 13 different vendors that exhibited at Service Management World in Orlando back in November 2024. Uh, this is obviously a video series. There's a link down in the description below to the YouTube playlist of all of the videos in this series, or at least the ones that have been released so far. By the time it finishes, it will contain all of those videos. And there's also a link to get access to a written report. So as I'm going through, uh, I'm also writing up kind of my findings around these specific aspects of the platforms. Um, in each video, I'm typically highlighting one specific aspect that I think really stands out, or one specific characteristic that really um, represents the platform as a whole. And in this video, we're going to talk about SolarWinds, again, formerly known as Samanage. So let me switch over to the demo screen. Let me actually just start off by going home. Let me start out with the dashboard. Um, so there is a way to actually set it so that the dashboard shows up uh, as the kind of the home page, but by default, in this trial instance, it just goes to the listed instance. Now you can see I've played around with this a little bit, and I think I submitted two, maybe three different incidents, and I want to show kind of what that looks like. So I think I went to new laptop request for at least one of them. Yeah, this has been requested two times. And what I want to draw your attention to is these fields right here, employee type, laptop type. Uh, and we'll actually talk about another aspect of this form as well. But first off, you can see I can drag and drop. So that's pretty cool. It's not quite as customizable as Cherwell. All right, I can't place things in pixel perfect positions on the screen, but I can reorganize a bunch of different forms or a bunch of different fields here. Um, and I go to request this. Obviously, this is the kind of the agent, the technician view. Uh, you would probably actually go through the portal, which you can view from here, this menu, or non-agents just go to the same URL and they get access to the portal. But I'm going to specifically look at these fields down here. Pretty much all the important ones are filled in, but these two fields, employee type and laptop type. Notice that laptop type is grayed out. That's because there's actually a rule I've defined, which we'll see in a minute, that the values that I can select for this field depend on, in my case, this field. So basically, I invented a rule, a contrived rule that basically only specific employee types can have specific types of laptops. So specifically, if you're a full-time employee, you can have a Lenovo, you can have an HP or a Dell. If you're a part-time employee, your only option is an HP. If you're an intern, same thing, your only option is an HP. If you're a remote employee, you can go with an HP or a Dell. The contrived, invented rationale in my head is that HPs and Dells are easier to service out in the field, and HPs are presumably a lot cheaper. So for folks who aren't, full time, it makes sense just to get a pile of HPs that are basically interchangeable. But for full time employees who are working on, extensive projects, staying with the company a long time, the Lenovo's, the real workhorses um, of the IT world in this imaginary situation, make more sense. But you can also ask for a Dell. If you really want a Dell, you can get a Dell. Uh, I'm not trying to defend any of those rules by any stretch of the imagination. It was just a really convenient, contrived example that I could come up with. So let's see how I actually configure that. So I'm going to go over to setup and then go to service desk and go to field dependency is what this is. And you can see I created this employee type determines laptop choices. A very Cherwell naming convention here. I don't know if SolarWinds has a similar naming convention or any naming convention for these sorts of things. Um, but you can see I have to pick a controlling field and a dependent field. So in this case, employee type determines laptop type. And then from here, you select the first one on the left side and you choose what options are allowed. The next one, what options are allowed, next one, and so on. And that basically says, given whatever selected on in the controlling field, that determines the field or the values that are available in the dependent field. So I thought that was pretty cool. I actually spent, way more time in this area of the configuration than I expected to, just because I was kind of having fun. I found this and I was like, ooh, this is almost like programming. I can, sorry, in a good way. Yeah, I like this. I can, you know, create logic and then I can put it together in the appropriate ways. So I can build up this, kind of declarative rule and then use it later on. Um, and you can actually see, uh, if I wanted to, I could just disable that rule. Um, right now it's enabled for the demo, but I could disable it. I could create other rules and disable the ones that I don't want to have applying, and then enable them when they become relevant. Along those same lines, I want to show dynamic form rules, which was pretty cool as well. The naming behind some of this stuff, you could take it or leave it, but the functionality is actually really awesome. So in this case, the situation that I came up with for this was, let's imagine that you're requesting uh, a piece of hardware and you request a charger with it. There's a field, um, and if we actually dive into this condition set, you can see the summary. The condition is that additional hardware equals charger, and I forget what form this is on, but we'll see if we can find it in just a minute. And if it's true, we're going to ask for the region. And what that looks like is we show a form. So if I can edit it here, I give it a name that show a form, or I can hide a form potentially. And the form that I'm going to show is what region AC outlet. Okay, cool. Where does that live? Well, over in custom forms, you can create, guess what? Custom forms. And you can add fields. You can add custom fields. I think you can add out of the box fields as well, but what region AC outlet, and then you give it name, description, and you can add logic, which is kind of like form specific, whatever it was, the dynamic forms, um, but within this specific form, or I can just add a field, and you can see all different types of fields, and I think you can even There are some built-in fields, but I think most of these are custom fields, uh, because you can see if we go over to custom fields, even with a completely out-of-the-box system, you have 59 custom fields. No, well, 58. I added one custom field, which is the one that was on that form. And all it is, we go back to that form, it's literally just US or UK. Just keep it simple. And from here, you can provide, more details on it, uh, do more customizations. That details button actually doesn't do anything. Uh, but you can further customize the form. You can drag things around. I could put it on that side if I wanted to. Um, but let's actually see where that shows up. So if we go back to Service Desk, Service Catalog, this might have been on new hardware actually. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so here we go. Additional hardware. Let's say I want, no, I'm on the Service Catalog. So this is actually where you can edit the the actual like Service Catalog request form. Um, but if I request one of these services, you can see additional hardware. Let's say I pick charger and then go ahead and create it. Here's my ticket. And you can see I requested a charger. And under details, in addition to all the normal stuff, I have AC outlet region. And I could say, oh, I want a US charger or I want a UK charger. Um, One thing that I haven't figured out how to do is to actually make that field show up on the service catalog. So the requester can actually request it. But let's see if we can do that on the fly. So that was new hardware here, right? So additional hardware, let's say we add some logic. You can say if, so this is our charger rule, right? And one password is trying to be helpful. So let's say the field would be additional hardware equals charger on true. We're going to show a field and it's going to be, what was it, region, right? We, it must, I must have to add the field first. Um, it's gonna yell at me. So we're just gonna save that so that we can add the field and then we'll go back and fix that. What did I actually name the field? Mm, yeah, I don't actually know where it is. Um, Here we go. AC outlet region. All right, add that. So now we have AC outlet region there. And let's go ahead and edit this. So instead of additional hardware, it should be AC outlet region. Now, if we save changes, we've got our logic, we've got our additional form, and oh, that's cool. It actually tells us that we have the logic attached to this field. And now, one thing that's a little bit weird is this is actually saved at this point. There's no save button here. I keep looking for a save button, and there isn't one. It kind of saves as you go. So now, if I go to the request form and um, I say charger, now I can pick US UK, which is interesting. It looks like that's still there. I must have done something wrong. It's we're doing this on the fly. This is it's pretty cool. View logic, charger rule, additional hardware equals charger on true, add field, show field. Wonder if it somehow there must be a way that I can like hide it by default on false action. Just add that. Okay, so now if we request, there we go. Okay, so now if we set charger, now we get that field to come up. If we don't select charger, that field goes away. Okay, so I don't know. That's pretty cool. I think that's pretty easy to do. And that's functionality similar to what you might do in Cherwell. Um, and aside from a couple nuances here and there, I think it's uh, in some ways a lot cleaner than how Cherwell did it. It's a lot more discoverable. It's a lot more maybe not quite to the extent that it's more visible or more findable than Cherwell. Obviously, expressions could be saved and stored and created on their own and then reused in other places. But I think they've done a really good job at providing those tools to build up that logic, to build up those customizations, and then kind of combine them all together as a cohesive whole. Um, I I think that's definitely the standout feature of SolarWinds Samanage. I think it's a great platform from that perspective. There are definitely some features that I didn't show that maybe aren't quite to that same level, or at least aren't that level of familiarity coming from Cherwell. There are definitely some things that I wish they did better. But if you're not using those features, that might not be that big a deal. Um, One thing that definitely stood out to me in a not great way is their email support is not anywhere close to what you're used to from Cherwell. But that's okay because there are other ways that you can handle email. And maybe, again, if you don't use email, that might not be that big of a deal. If you do want to use email, sneak preview. We are working on an email processing solution. It doesn't work with SolarWinds quite yet because I just got into SolarWinds. I just started playing around with it. Um, but we want to integrate with every solution. So that could be coming very, very soon. So stay tuned for that. Um, but back to talking about SolarWinds, I really think I'm still blown away by the automate or the not the automation, but the form customization and the form logic capabilities. I think this is the most complete implementation of that sort of thing that I've seen in any of these platforms so far. Um, I don't know, maybe I missed it in some of the other ones, but it was very visible here. It was very accessible, very findable. So I was really impressed. So that's my evaluation of SolarWinds Service Desk and how it compares to what you're used to from Cherwell. Again, if you want to see other videos from this series, playlist down in the description below. If you want to get the full report where I talk about all 13 vendors, all 13 products, uh, and all of the different facets that I talk about, all of the scores, all of the descriptions, and all of my commentary on all of them, there's a link down there to get on that list, and so you'll get an email when that comes out, which fingers crossed, should be by the end of 2024, at least in a preliminary form. I think there might be one or two platforms that, for logistical reasons, I just won't be able to get to by the end of 2024. But The report will still get released then in a preliminary form, and then you'll get an update when I add those couple platforms in. That's all I have. If you have questions about SolarWinds, leave them down in the description below. I probably don't know the answers to them, but I will definitely find the people who do. And uh, yeah, let me know. If you're using SolarWinds or thinking about going to SolarWinds already, let me know what your experience has been. Let me know what things you found in your evaluation. If your thoughts lined up with mine, very curious. Leave those in the description down below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.